Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Anmoll Astrology. Now this video is going to be about the transits of 2022. So we all know that April is a very prominent month when it's about transits, major transits actually. So planets like Saturn, Jupiter, Rahu and Ketu, these four planets are going to transit to different signs in this month. So, what basically transit is, let me be clear with that first. So, transits actually mean whenever a planet out in universe, planets are moving, right? So, whenever a planet goes or enters into a new sign, that is called as a transit of that particular planet in a particular sign. Like for example, right now, as I'm making this video, Saturn is in the sign of Capricorn, Jupiter is in the sign of Aquarius, Rahu and Ketu, they are in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio respectively, right? So what's going to happen is that these planets are going to move forward into new signs, right? So we have the dates over here. Jupiter is going to transit to the sign of Pisces on April 13th, 2022, and it is going to stay there for another year till April 2023. So the sign of Pisces gets activated during this time because Jupiter is transited there. And the significance of what Jupiter is doing there, we are going to discuss it later, right? Then Saturn. So let's know this thing about Saturn and Jupiter is that Saturn and Jupiter are the planets who also become retrograde and who go back to the sign, the previous sign, and then come forward to the same sign. So this back and forth is going to happen with Saturn this year, but not Jupiter, right? Jupiter is going to stay within this domain of Pisces for throughout a year. But Saturn is going to travel from Aquarius back to Capricorn and then back to Aquarius. And the dates are as follows. Saturn will go into the sign of Aquarius in direct motion on 29th April 2022. Then it is going to retrograde in the sign of Aquarius on June 5th, 2022. Then it is going to retrograde and go back, or you can say in the reverse motion, it is going to go back to the sign of Capricorn on July 12th, 2022. And it is going to stay in the sign of Capricorn when it will become direct on October 23rd. So from July 12th to October 23rd, it is going to stay retrograde in the sign of Capricorn. So one thing I would like to tell here is whenever a planet goes back into a sign, being retrograde, of course it is going to go back being retrograde in reverse motion only. It is not going to go back in direct motion. That means there is something that the planet has not done during the time it was already there. Like suppose, for example, we go to the office. Suppose I'm a person, I need to go to my office, right? I'll go to my office, but suddenly I remembered that I left my keys back at my home, and I'll go back to my home, take my keys, fulfill the purpose for getting that keys, and then I'll go further to go and work in my office. So similarly, a planet goes out in a new sign, but then it forgets that there's something, some pending karma or some pending task that it was supposed to achieve, which it hasn't. So it will go back, achieve that task, activate that sign, then come back with the task done and not going back to that sign again for that while. So that's a simple logic behind it, right? So after that, it is going to move to the sign of Aquarius finally in January 17, 2023. Okay, So these are the particular dates for the transit of Saturn, right? After this, we are going to come back to Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu are going to transit in the sign of Aries. Rahu in the sign of Aries and Ketu in the sign of Libra from April 12th, 2022. Although the true transit of Rahu and Ketu is going to happen from 17th March only. And there's a difference when it comes to Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu have their physical transit and they have their true transit. So a lot of questions come in that what should we take as an accurate date? The true transit or the physical transit? So according to me, I think the true transit is more accurate because the effect of Rahu and Ketu in those signs are seen on the true transits only. Because Rahu and Ketus are, planets which give their effect much before the transit. So it gives approximately a month or 15 to 20 days before it actually transits to a new sign. And one more thing is there with Rahu and Ketu is they are naturally on reverse motion. So they always move backward to the sign. So right now Rahu is in the sign of Taurus and it is going back to the sign of Aries. And Ketu is in the sign of Libra and it is, sorry, not Libra, it is in the sign of Scorpio and it is going back to the sign of Libra. It is going one sign down. And they always start their journey from 29 degrees to 1 degree. Right? So this is a fundamental understanding of transit and fundamental understanding of what transits are going to do here. Now I'm going to represent the chart somewhere on the screen. Okay, so this chart is, I've personally taken this chart of 30th April 2022. And why is that so? Because all the transits are going to happen within the month of April only. It'll start from 12th April and it'll go up to 30th April. So that's why I took the sign, I took the chart for 30th April and 6 a.m. Delhi. So, this chart is actually going to tell a lot about what is going to happen for another year or another year and a half. Since Jupiter transits for 1 year, Saturn transits for 2.5 years, and Rahu and Ketu transits for 1.5 year, or you can call it as 18 months. Right? So this is the chart. You can see it wherever on the screen. Let me mention again. Right? So we have Sun and Rahu in the ascendant in the sign of Aries. Then we have Jupiter in the 12th house in the sign of Pisces. Then along with Venus. Then we have Mars and Saturn in the 11th house in the sign of Aquarius. Mercury in the 2nd house and Ketu in the 7th house. So, before talking about what these planets are going to do, we just need to understand what is the significance of each and every planet. Okay, so it becomes very easy when we know the meaning of a planet, and it's really easy to predict for yourself. I'm always I'm trying to explain things in order to just make you guys aware that how you yourself can see how a planet is going to give fruits for that particular transit for you in your chart or of whomsoever chart you are looking into. So first of all, we'll start with Rahu Ketu only. See, wherever Rahu and Ketu goes, they'll always be opposite to each other. If Rahu comes in the 1st house as it is in the transit chart, Ketu is going to go into the 7th house. So wherever Rahu and Ketu goes, they bring in transformation in that area. Rahu and Ketu always make you stuck in a loop. Like for example, if Rahu is in the 1st house and Ketu is in the 7th house, that duration, that 1.5 years, like Aries people are going to face is, Aries and Libra people is, that they are going to bound in relationships, in their self-growth, self-love, personality changes, transformations related to partnerships, relationships, and transformation related to their physical appearance and their personality. And if, for example, Rahu and Ketu are transiting from 4th and 10th house, for example, then what is going to happen is there are going to be changes and major transformation changes I'm talking about related to your home space, your residence, where you live, your workspace, your work options, and your career place, everything related to your home and your career. Things are going to transform in that area, right? So this video is actually going to be about what is the meaning of the transits, and there will be another video where I'm going to talk about how these transits are going to affect different zodiac signs from Aries to Pisces. But this video, certainly, since there are 4 major transits that are going to happen, we are going to only talk about what is going to be a fundamental effect. So let me tell you this thing also, that the effects will differ for different people because of the dashas they are going through, the antardasha, the dasha, Vimshotari dasha, Mahadasha, antardasha, the house activations they are going through. But transits are generally effective only if dasha also promise the similar things. Otherwise, transits will come and go, and you may not see the 100% effect of it. But in my personal experience, I've seen people do experience effects for it, but the degree of negative and positive aspect changes according to the dasha. Right? So Rahu and Ketu, wherever they are going to come, they are going to bring in, wherever Rahu comes, there are going to be challenges related to that area. And that area is going to transform in terms of, better things for you. And wherever Ketu comes, you are going to get spiritual enlightenment or spiritual realizations in regards to that area. And you may get detachment from that area as well. Like for Aries ascendant, Rahu is going to come to the 1st house and Ketu in the 7th house in Libra. What will happen is these people are going to become, although, for example, these people are very nurturing, very giving, but for this time they are going to become very selfish. They are going to become very self-oriented. And they are going to detach from a relationship. They are going to have breakup. They are going to obsess over having a relationship or having partnership, but there will be a time when they themselves will take a decision to get apart from a relationship. Right? And now let's talk about Jupiter. Wherever Jupiter comes, there is a lesson which a person is bound to learn, a higher learning. Jupiter is Guru. Jupiter is the divine being. Jupiter is the most benefic planet. It is the teacher, it is guide, it is a counselor. Wherever Jupiter goes, there comes some responsibility. And wherever Jupiter aspects, those areas are going to get fruits. Those areas are going to get blessings. But what sort of blessings? That depends on the sign in which Jupiter transits. And then lastly comes Saturn. Wherever Saturn comes, you have to be disciplined towards that area. Wherever Saturn comes, you have some karma to pay off regarding that area. Like for example, if Saturn comes to your 2nd house, suppose for Capricorn ascendant people or Capricorn moon people, Saturn is now going to come to the 2nd house. So what Saturn is going to do here? Saturn is going to activate your income. But Saturn is also going to create situations of responsibility where you have to provide your family financially. Since Saturn is in the 2nd house. So the more you provide your family, The more you are disciplined related to your finances, the more benefit you are going to get in terms of your income. Saturn in the second house can give you upliftment, can give you promotion, can give you upliftment in terms of finances and income. Maybe you get some increment, but that will only be there if your karmas are good. So, technically, Saturn is a planet that gives you results on the basis of the karma you perform. If you have positive karma, you're going to get positive results. If you have negative karma, you're going to get negative results. So that is irrespective of, you know, what predictions that we give. It is actually, it depends on you when it's about Saturn. And if we talk about Jupiter, what Jupiter is going to do is that Jupiter is going to give you lessons, but that is irrespective of what karma you play out. Jupiter gives you result according to the situation in your kundali, or it just activates and gives its result. It is going to bring in responsibility, but it is going to bless the houses it aspects on. Okay, so this is the general meaning of what planets do whenever they transit. Now, we have Rahu Ketu transiting in the sign of Aries and in the sign of Libra. First, we'll talk about Rahu. Rahu in the sign of Aries. Aries is the first house. According to the Kal Purush Kundli, it rules the first house. It is our body, it is our personality, and Aries is our mind. First house is what? It's about our mind. What we think here. What is here? That is Aries. Aries is also responsible for, it's a responsible sign for our energy because this sign is ruled by Mars. You know, Rahu in Aries gives actually, I would say, very typical results. It can be positive, it can be negative. So both sort of results are present in Rahu, in Aries. So you know, Aries sign is about domination. It is about individuality. It's about a person's personality, a person's mind. So Rahu, wherever it goes, it brings in challenges. Wherever it goes, it brings in illusions because Rahu is the karka of Maya. It's mirage. So what is going to happen is people, first of all, you are going to dominate the area wherever Rahu is present. So Rahu being, if we talk about this Prashna Kundali as well, if we talk about Prashna Kundali, we have Sun and Rahu in the ascendant, in the sign of Aries. That means everyone is now going to behave as if they are the king. So Rahu is going to force you to dominate your personality or look after your personality as the priority. And people are going to have very different ideas. People's mind are going to run like horses. But Rahu in the sign of Aries makes you, a chameleon. A person adjusts according to the surroundings when Rahu is in Aries, and especially in the nakshatra of Ashwini. So when Rahu is in the first house, in the sign of Aries, for Aries ascendant people, for example, these people are going to become very individualistic. These people are going to dominate their personality over everyone. And they are going to think that they are the king. And they might disregard partnerships and they might disregard other people and other people's opinion. So it's like, and you'll also see this thing that wherever, for especially for Aries people, Aries moon or Aries ascendant people, these people are going to become famous during this time if your profession is related to fame. If not, then whatever work you are doing, you'll become famous in that. You'll be attracted towards boldly things. You'll be attracted towards beautifying yourself, towards working on your personality, towards self love. Right? So, this is what Rahu is going to do in the sign of Aries. Now, in the sign of Aries, Rahu is going to, transit through three nakshatras. First of all, it will come in the Kritika nakshatra. Actually, it is already present in Kritika nakshatra, but Kritika nakshatra, half of it is in the sign of Taurus and half of it is in the sign of Aries. So, Aries side of Kritika nakshatra, there's the combination of what? Mars, since Aries is ruled by Mars, Sun, since Kritika is ruled by Sun, and then Rahu comes here. So, more than anything, this sign becomes very dominating. So, whenever Rahu comes in the Kritika nakshatra, in the Aries side, a person becomes quite dominating. A person becomes heavy on everyone. Like for Cancer ascendant people, they have their Rahu transiting in their 10th house. So that means such a person is going to become heavy on their authorities. They are going to give very good competition in their workspace. They are going to cut off everyone and they are going to become the king themselves. They are going to say that what I am doing is correct and none of anything else matters. If Rahu is in the 6th house for Scorpio ascendant people, what is going to happen? These people are going to become too much into their work, in their daily routine. These people can also take up gymming, take up some physical sport, and they are going to give good competition there. And they are going to cut off their colleagues in competition or in anything of that sort. Then Rahu is going to transit in the nakshatra of Bharani. Bharani is ruled by Venus, and now Rahu is in the domain of Mars and Venus. So these energies actually do not do very well with each other. Although Venus is a friend to Rahu because Venus is actually the guru of Rahu, but Rahu in Bharani can actually make you experience death like situations. Or it can make you go through a little bit of problems in your life. Because Bharani is what? Bharani is Yama. Bharani is outwardly experiences that a person has. Bharani is also creativity. For people who have Rahu in the 5th house, and when Rahu enters in the sign of Bharani, these people can have children or they'll have to deal with something related to children. Because Bharani is about self-sacrificing. But because of Rahu being in the sign of Aries in Bharani Nakshatra, there can be chances, since Rahu is what? Rahu is cheating. Rahu is making illusions. So a person might show that they are self-sacrificing for someone, but they might not actually do that. They might create a mirage or create an illusion about it. Right? So lastly, Rahu is going to come in the nakshatra of Ashwini. And now this is a nakshatra because Rahu is now coming at the end. It's coming at the end of the cycle of the 12 signs. Now here, Rahu feels as it is going to escape from the world. So it is going to come to the start, to the starting point for every other planet, but to the end point of Rahu here. So in Ashwini, Rahu tries to do everything. Rahu tries to give out all the karma. In Ashwini, what will happen is, since Rahu is a karmic energy, Rahu is the Bhoga Karka, it makes you go through, or it makes you pay off different karmas that you're bound to pay off. So in Ashwini, it'll make you pay off different karmas, and then it'll free you from that karma. So in Ashwini, a person, when Rahu is in Ashwini, a person actually becomes really competitive to do all the things all at once. But there can be one problem with Rahu in Ashwini, that you might start up new projects related to self development or related to sports, athleticism, some physical activities, but you might not complete it. So it becomes really important with Rahu in Ashwini or Rahu in the sign of Aries, that you complete all the tasks that you undertake. The only thing that you can do to make a positive outcome out of Rahu's placement is that you complete all the tasks undertaken. Now let's come to Ketu. Ketu is coming in the sign of unionship. Wherever Ketu comes, Ketu actually means something you have achieved in the past. Ketu is a flag. Wherever Ketu goes, that means that you have put a flag there that this domain is already achieved. This domain is mine and I have already achieved it. That is why Ketu now is in the sign of unionship, partnerships, legal contracts. So you'll think you have achieved it. People are not going to be very specific about relationships during this time. And you'll also see in this year, in 2022, there might not be too many weddings, too many partnerships. Because people are not going to, have that mindset, or they are not going to be very fond of partnerships this year. Getting married this year. This year is more about spiritual realization, gains through large organizations, gains for large public, people at large, and growing their personality and thinking about themselves only. So there won't be too much, inclination towards unionships and partnerships and relationships during this year. Although last year was very much about it. Right? So here, Ketu is going to go through 3 nakshatras again. The first one is going to be Vishakha nakshatra. Vishakha is what? It is split. Since Vishakha is ruled by Indra and it is Agni and Indra, it is a tree which is divided into 2 branches. So there is going to be split wherever Ketu is, wherever your Libra sign is there. Like for example, Virgo ascendant people can have split in the family, or their family assets can split into half, or there can be division of family assets. For Aries ascendant people, there can be simply a breakup or a split. For Libra ascendant people, since Ketu is going to be in the first house, there are going to be a lot of spiritual realizations for such a person. They are going to realize a lot of things and mistakes they have done in the past in their relationships. And this will be the time when they are going to mend the relationship with themselves. Then Ketu is going to transit in the nakshatra of Swati. Now Swati is about travel. Swati is about being fair. Swati is about negotiating. It is the nakshatra of Rahu, and Rahu is in the sign of Aries. This will be the time when you'll be forced to deal with relationships or partnerships of some sort. This time, Ketu is a destructive energy. So wherever it goes, it destroys something to build something new. So in Vishakha, it might destroy a relationship. It might destroy something. But then when it comes into Swati, you will be bound to negotiate a little. You'll be bound to negotiate and get something new out of it. And then Ketu is going to transit in the nakshatra of Chitra, half of which is in the sign of Libra and half of which is in the sign of Virgo. Now, what will happen here is in the sign of Chitra, this is the nakshatra ruled by Mars. Chitra is a nakshatra of creativity. It is the nakshatra of charm. It is the nakshatra of jewels, jewelry, pearls specifically. Chitra, the animal totem, is a tigress. So Chitra people actually lunge like a tiger. If you'll go and throw something at them, they'll just lunge at you. They'll just get offended just like that. But these people are actually really, really charming people. They know how to put down their presence. So when Ketu will come in this nakshatra, first of all, because of the fusion of Venus being the lord of Libra, then Mars being the lord of Chitra, and then Ketu is coming here. That's again a difficult placement for relationships. In Chitra, you might fight with the person that is reflected by the house placement of Libra sign. You might fight with that person just in order to protect something. You might become, if you are Libra ascendant, you might become overprotective of yourself. So out of protecting yourself, you might fight with people, you might lunge on people that why are you saying me this? I am not wrong. I'm fed up of this criticism. So this will what Ketu do. Now after this, let's talk about Jupiter. Now Jupiter is in the sign of Pisces. That's its own sign. And Jupiter feels comfortable here. Jupiter feels happy here. Jupiter basically rules two signs, Sagittarius and Pisces. Sagittarius is more about higher learning. It's about long distance travel. But Pisces is about spirituality. Sagittarius is about philosophy and Pisces is about devotion or escapism. So you'll see people will either become devoted towards spirituality or enlightenment, or people are just going to escape from spirituality. They are going to just try to escape from their situations or their circumstances, go towards either spirituality or substances or addictions. Because Pisces sign has a duality. See, all the dual signs actually. The sign of Gemini, the sign of Virgo, the sign of Sagittarius, and the sign of Pisces. These are the dual signs. So they have dual effects. In case of Pisces, Pisces can either make you spiritual and devoted, or it can make you addicted and a runner, a escaper. Now, what of it you are going to become, that depends on the situation. That depends on the overall chart. But Jupiter here is going to make, is going to bring in responsibility related to either spirituality or escapism. Like if you are a person who escapes from the situations, who does not face the situations, this Jupiter is going to make you face them. It won't let you escape it, because that's what Jupiter is here to teach about. I told you in the very starting, comes Jupiter comes to teach you something. Jupiter here is going to go through three nakshatras again. First, it will enter into Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra. When Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra is there, it's more about thinking about people at large. Thinking of scientific solutions for people. Purva Bhadrapada is actually a very unexpected nakshatra. You can't expect one certain fundamental result out of it. But it is going to be about mass population. It is going to be about large number of people. Then comes Uttar Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Again, the energies are similar. Even Uttar Bhadrapada Nakshatras are not predictable. They are very unpredictable as well. Now, when Jupiter comes here, there are most chances, since Uttar Bhadrapada is also related to the change of weather. So you'll see that there can be natural calamities related to fire, air, and there can be very quick changes within the weather, very unexpected and unpredictable changes within the weather. Then lastly, it is going to transit through Revati, which is the last nakshatra. But it is actually the most spiritual and most prominent nakshatra in astrology. It is ruled by Mercury. So here, in Revati nakshatra, very beautiful spiritual realizations are going to come in with some teachings. Now lastly, we'll come to Saturn. Saturn is going to come to the sign of Aquarius. So Saturn rules two signs, Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn is about working hard for the society. It's about karma. It's about working hard just. But Aquarius is about gaining from that hard work. It's also about thinking about a large number of people, because Aquarius is the sign of other people. It's about your social circle, it's about your networking circle, it's about large organizations, it's about NGOs. So whenever Saturn is there, Saturn is what? Saturn is a servant. Saturn is underprivileged people. So in this time, wherever your Aquarius sign is, you're going to be inclined towards servicing large number of people through that medium. Like for example, if you are a Sagittarius ascendant, your Saturn comes into the third house. It is going to activate your travels, your long distance and your short distance travels. Since Saturn is aspecting your ninth house with its seventh aspect, Saturn receives its dignity and its support from the ninth house, from its seventh aspect. So what will happen is, due to the support of gurus or due to the support of your higher education or higher learning, you will be able to give out speech or guide through your communication to help people at large. Simple result for that. Okay? So these are the results that these planets are going to give for these particular zodiac signs. Now let me tell you a few points, a few important points. Now there are some signs that are going to get affected the most, and these are Aries. So Aries is going to be highly affected. Wherever the sign of Aries is, I told you that sign is going to get affected because you are going to dominate that sign. You are going to dominate with your individuality on that sign, because Rahu and Sun are going to be there at the time of the Prashna chart, right? And there is going to be the third aspect of Saturn over Rahu. That means, in order to give the results of Rahu, in order to give the effects of Rahu, Saturn is going to make you do a lot of efforts. Because third aspect of Saturn is actually its debilitated aspect. So that means that Saturn is going to give you a lot of challenges there. Saturn is going to make you very impatient. Saturn is going to make Rahu very impatient. And Saturn will bring in challenges for Rahu to achieve that domination, to achieve that competition. So you'll have to make extra efforts, and you'll have to gather extra courage to perform those activities related to that Aries area. Like, for example, if we'll talk about this Aries sign only, Aries chart only, Saturn is in the 11th house. That means that Saturn is activating your 11th house. It is going to give you gains, but these gains will be delayed. Only if you help people at large, only if you help your network circle, you do something for them, you're going to get gains for yourself. You're going to get recognition for yourself. But in this process, your personality will be challenged. What you are saying, whatever domination you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to say that I am the one, I am the right one, that is going to get challenged because of large number of people. And then you have to make extra efforts to fulfill what you say. To make people understand that my personality is fine, I am doing right. Simple. So that is why the sign of Aries is going to get activated. And Ketu's seventh aspect is also going to be on the sign of Aries. Okay. Now then Gemini sign is going to get activated because it is going to receive the ninth aspect from Ketu. So there are going to be very higher learnings of spirituality for Gemini people. Simply. Then the other sign becomes the sign of Cancer because Jupiter gives its fifth aspect on the sign of Cancer. And what I told you, that Jupiter's aspects means blessings. So Jupiter is going to throw its blessings wherever the sign of Cancer is present. So if we'll talk about this person, if we'll talk about an Aries ascendant or Aries moon person, what will happen is, if this person is trying to buy a home, or if this person is trying to get a PR, suppose permanent residency in some other country, this person can get it. During this time, this person can achieve it. If this person is trying to buy a home overseas or from a distance, this person can get it. And this particular person is going to treat their mother as their child. And they're going to take care of her as their child. And if this particular person's mother is facing some issues with their health, there is going to be some solution to that. Negative or positive, that depends on the situation of the overall kundali and the the dasha. After this, the sign of Leo is going to be heavily affected by this transit. And why is that so? We have the seventh aspect of Saturn and we have the fifth aspect of Rahu over the sign of Leo. So, first thing is sure that wherever the sign of Leo falls, you are going to rebel from that area. You're going to rebel. You are going to go against that area. But you will also receive some sort of support from that area because it's Saturn's seventh aspect. And I told you, wherever Saturn's seventh aspect is, you receive support from that area. So the sign of wherever your sign of Leo is, that becomes a very important area. Like for example, for Cancer ascendant, Leo becomes the second house. You're going to rebel your family. And this can be due to your career, or this can simply be due to mostly your income and career. You might have a lot of expenses during this time as well. But at some time, your family is going to support you in that. But there are going to be challenges related to your income, related to your career, and related to your family. Now, next sign which is getting affected will be Virgo. But Virgo will be positively affected because both Jupiter and Venus are going to give its positive effect on the sign of Virgo. But whenever Jupiter and Venus come together, like in this chart as well, we see that Jupiter and Venus are together in the 12th house. Actually, 12th house is how easily you adjust. So adjustment and adaptability will be an issue for an Aries ascendant person, first of all. And then whenever Jupiter and Venus come together in whatever house, you'll feel that I know everything about that house. Suppose you are Pisces ascendant and you have Jupiter and Venus in the ascendant. You'll feel I know everything. And I know the worldly knowledge. I know how the world operates. I know how education, how higher learning, and how spirituality operates. No one knows more than me. This becomes a matter of concern there. Otherwise, circumstantially, this is a positive conjunction to have because they are going to throw its good, its benefic aspects on the seventh from itself. So the sign of Virgo, wherever the sign of Virgo is, you're going to get positive results from there. If suppose you are Virgo ascendant, you might have to take up some responsibility regarding your spouse during this 1 year. You'll have some opposition with the spouse because of a spiritual belief or something you believe in. There will be contradiction in the thoughts of you and your spouse, but ultimately it will become harmony because of exalted Venus there. It will become harmonious, but with the contradiction first. Because you might feel, I should let it go. Or your spouse might feel, I'll let it go. But your spouse has the power here. Let me tell you that. Because Jupiter is in its own sign and that's giving the power to your partner. And that is actually a very good combination for spiritual enlightenment. But if your Jupiter and Venus are not well placed in your chart, being a Virgo ascendant, then there are fair chances that if it is negatively influenced, then there can be chances that your spouse or you might get into addictions, into substance abuse or substance issues. So you need to be careful of that, right? Then the other sign which is heavily affected is Scorpio. Actually, Aries, Leo, and Scorpio are the three signs which are heavily affected. Rest all are neutrally affected. Then with Scorpio, what happens is Scorpio people will actually have to deal with some certain responsibility in their life, major responsibility, because there comes the ninth aspect of Jupiter and 10th aspect of Saturn. 10th aspect of Saturn will make you oblivion about that area, but you'll have to work really hard towards that area, because 10th house is what? It's about duty, commitment, discipline. It's about working hard. It's about executing karma. So there will be some karma related to wherever the Scorpio sign falls. And there will be some higher learning from that house that you'll have to do. And there will be some higher learning that you'll get because of that particular thing. So wherever your sign of Scorpio falls, that is going to be the area of responsibility. Like, for example, if you are Taurus ascendant, that Scorpio becomes your 7th house. So there is going to be responsibility about partnerships, marriage, commitment. You have to be disciplined about it. And this time for the Taurus people, they are going to, because of Saturn being in the 10th house, this time they will be more concentrated on their career, and because of that they might not care about their relationships, because of which their relationship is sacrificed. And another thing, wherever your Scorpio sign falls, you might have to sacrifice something because of that area. Like, for example, Libra ascendant people. Since Scorpio falls in the 2nd house, these people have to sacrifice something related to their family or finances or family's income. And these people are actually, Libra people are actually going to have a bit of a problematic time. That's because, you know, that's Ketu is coming in the 1st house. There's already depression, anxiety, fearfulness coming in. Rahu in the 7th house, cheating from a partner or coming across a very impatient and selfish partner, individualistic partner, and then taking responsibility of something which is related to their family, dealing with family assets, some dispute, right? Then comes the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is going to get affected because Saturn is going to be there and Ketu is going to throw its 5th aspect on the sign of Aquarius. Then lastly, it's Pisces. Pisces because Jupiter is going to be there in the sign of Pisces. So we have discussed the results for these signs already. And one more thing, lastly, I would like to mention is that all these transits are happening in the next houses. Like, first, there's the sign of Aquarius, then it's Pisces, then it's Aries. These three houses are just next to each other. Jupiter is 12th from Rahu. Saturn is 11th from Rahu. That means whatever Rahu is a search, it's an endless search. It's Rahu is about initiating or trying to achieve something with a hungry stomach. With a hungry stomach which is never satisfied. So here, servant like people or people in service or people at large are going to give you support. You're going to gain. Rahu is going to gain from them. But it might result in being oblivion about spiritual beliefs. Because Jupiter is 12th from Rahu. So all the people are going to do things related to wherever Aries falls, are going to dominate the situations without thinking about the ethics. Because Jupiter is 12th from Rahu. They might not see that what is ethically right or wrong. They might be oblivion about spiritual beliefs, about fair, being fair. Everyone will be all about, we want to achieve this, we want to achieve this, and we want to do anything in our power to achieve that, regardless of what is right and what is wrong. So this is going to be the major theme for next approximately 1.5 years or 2 years, since all these transits have different timings. So guys, this was my analysis regarding the transit of four major planets, Rahu, Ketu, Saturn and Jupiter. I hope this was in depth and you could understand all the specifications of these transits, and I hope this has made it very easy for you guys to predict for your own charts about the results that these planets are going to bring in. If you are new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment and share. And you can also comment below about what your experiences are related to these transits. If you would like to have your personal consultations from me, you can check out the link below, which is www.anmollastrology.com, and under the consultation section, you can book a personal reading for yourself. And there's also a section of unique readings where I give out unique readings like Tribhagi analysis, Nakshatra analysis. So you can also check it out and get your personal consultations from me. Okay, bye bye, take care.